Ho ho, kids! We're a couple of annoyed grunt boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast. That's right, we're the podcast that explores the American animated sitcom The Simpsons from seasons 11 and beyond, and the newest episodes when they come out, or around when they come out, like this week. I say we because I am one annoyed grunt boy named Steve, and with me, as always, is the other annoyed grunt boy. Oh, there he is now. We're here, as we do every year, celebrating the year and the holiday at the 138th Simpsons Christmas holiday party. And it looks like somebody's at the door, so I'm just going to open this up. And, hey, there. Oh, let me hit that door again.
Daddy, you came.
Oh, there's my son. Let's go in the back, kid. We'll talk later. There's another guest. Okay. Hello. Engineer Milo. Coming in. And here's another guest. Let's open up the door.
Clash of Castles.
It's Bobby Moynihan from, Sky Police. You were great in that episode. Thanks for coming by.
Clash of Castles.
Oh, here's another guest. Oh, Chalmers, good to see you. And, Skinner, let's go into the kitchen. You can work on the steamed ham, so thanks for coming. Engineer Milo, I told you this. Calm down. I hope that somebody else comes to the party. Oh, there is somebody now. Hello?
It seems today that all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV.
Oh, no. It's Lois Griffin. Hey, Lois, how you doing? Looking good. Looking real good. Nope. Sorry, gotta go, Lois. Grab the door there. Ah, hello.
Give me your peanuts.
Not today. Not again. Maybe New Year's Eve. Who's this now?
I'm growing ashamed of my penis.
Homer, I've seen you without your pants. Got nothing to be ashamed of. I can see why Bart says like caramba.
I'm gonna put a penis in his beautiful ass.
Hold on, no, just one sec, Homer. This party is getting really crowded.
Anyway, gotta poop.
Whoa, Bart. Let's not start off Christmas like that. Just be good. Let me grab that door.
Craig is a lot of fun.
Hi, Jenna. Good to see you. Greg is a lot of fun. I just wish that you were here at the party. I mean, let me grab the door here. Sorry, Jenna.
Morley Safer has the biggest penis that I've ever seen.
I know, Lisa. I know. And another guest? Okay, let's see who this is.
This is where my penis is.
Yes, Homer, I see that. And as I said before, you've got nothing to be ashamed of. Your yellow hog is great.
Now where's my penis?
Right there. Okay, let me grab the door again. Oh, hello. Welcome in.
Kids and vodka. Yow.
Oh, it's me. Back when I used to enjoy both kids and vodka.
Kids and hot naked orgy. Yow.
Matt Gates, who invited you?
Marry me.
Steve?
Maybe later, Lisa. I'm happily married for now, but...
Look at you and your huge dick.
Bye, Marge. Yeah, I know what you like. I feel like this is getting a little inappropriate for a holiday party, but, we'll see where the night takes us. Open up the door yet again.
Misa fucking horny. I'll suck your dick.
Oh, Scott, you don't have to ask. I'm a big fan. Welcome in, welcome in. I'll grab your coat there.
Hey, let's sexualize babies.
Conan, I know you're going through a lot right now, but there's no reason to be crass. Hello?
Put that away. It creeps me out.
Sorry. Zip.
Penis.
You too, Homer.
Nice to meet you, Steven.
You too, Carl. Good to see you. Oh. Hello?
Yeah, it's Craig.
Where are you?
I'm calling to ask you where you're at. The party was at my location.
I think something got confused because I've got like 36 guests in here.
Oh, I have no one here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what if you come here and I go there? 'Cause these people are a little freaky if you ask me.
Oh, carrot cake. Let's go to the bathroom together.
I'm gonna go down on you, pilgrim.
Okay, I'm a little freaky too, I guess.
That's fine. How about we just have our holiday party in the closet together?
Alrighty, I've got a tiny TV so we can watch this week's episode. If you're a woman and you've got a voice, you've got a personality.
This is going to be a long episode, and I feel like me not showing up made this episode a lot longer, Steve.
Yeah, but it's okay. I think we'll we'll just get right into it. But welcome in, Craig. It's good to have you for this holiday season. And the listeners, we'll welcome you as well. As we get into it for this week's episode, which is Oh Come On Ye Faithful.
Oh, come on, Ye Faithful, Steve. Ye Faithful was the poor name I used.
Because you burst like a geyser?
Yeah, sure. So what'd you get for Christmas, Steve?
Probably, I'm going to say, a Game Boy, a new pair of rollerblades,
Ooh.
and a Charlotte Hornet starter jacket. What about you, Craig? What'd you get?
I think it's going to be a shared gift this year with my sister, and it's going to be the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Ooh.
We might get the Power Pad with it, too.
Ooh,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, because that's going to have a million uses. It'll be so much fun.
Much like the Zapper, too. Like, there'll be so many games besides Duck Hunt, right, that we'll have.
Duck Hunt's only the beginning. I'm sure there'll be tons of fun games.
I'm really excited for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's a whole level where you're, like, in a dam. That looks a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not hard at all.
It'll be just like the arcade game, but better, I'm sure.
But Steve, let's talk Simpsons. They had so many great NES games.
Yeah, the arcade game, the rest. No, I remember Bart versus Space Mutants being difficult but fun.
They were all horrible, Steve. But at least we had Simpsons Christmas. There's quite a few episodes, but I think there's only a few that really bring me that Christmas spirit. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm looking at some of the beloved Christmas episodes, and of course, we can't talk about The Simpsons without talking Simpsons roasting on an open fire.
I still think that for me is the ultimate one.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
I think so, and I think close behind that is Season 7's March Be Not Proud.
I'm going to agree with you on that one, too. I think that, while the nostalgia of the very first episode of Roasting Up on Fire is there, I think Marge Be Not Proud is the best Christmas episode, if not one of the best Simpsons episodes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you. And from there, I feel like we kind of lose some of the edge. There's The Grift of the Magi, which is the Funzo episode with Gary Coleman. A fun episode, maybe not my favorite. Skinner Senseless Snow. Not exactly a Christmas episode, but it's in the holiday season. She of Little Faith, which is, of course, the Richard Gere Buddhist episode with his Free of Hamsters, which is fine.
You know, I actually enjoyed, like, the holidays of future past. So, you know, it's the one where it's Bart and Lisa as adults. And considered to be, like, it could be the final episode. Like, that was an idea floating around. Or one of them was, but I enjoyed those. You know, going back, because we have reviewed, like, Kill Gill's Volumes 1 and 2 and Simpsons Christmas Stories. And surprisingly, I listened to, like, our outro to see if they were reviewed well. And we did. We actually liked those ones.
Wow, that's surprising. Like, I remember being initially very iffy, especially on the Simpsons Christmas Stories, but it's good to see that we did enjoy those.
Yeah. I think I kind of remember, even though we can never review it, Miracle on Evergreen Terrace is from season 9, episode 10. I feel like they tried to make Marge Be Not Proud again, because that's when Bart burns down the Christmas tree.
Right, and they have to sneak back, and yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's another Bart screws up, and I feel like it was too similar in a way to Marge Be Not Proud, just because, like, Bart was the main focus.
Yeah, and I think it lacked kind of that emotional depth that the first one had. But yeah, I do think that the future episodes were compelling and very interesting. Kill Gill, at the time, a very novel way to examine Gill's whole deal and kind of moving him from just a replacement for, like, Lionel Hutz to his own thing.
Yeah, but we liked it, though.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so, I mean, I think there have been a lot of Christmas episodes, some better than others, but I think that few shows can do can do this Christmas quite like The Simpsons.
Yeah, I really have to watch those two, though, for the Christmas season. The rest I can, I might miss. But will this week's episode be a memorable Christmas episode, Steve?
Well, let's find out, because it's actually like 2 episodes in one, because today we're talking about Oh Come On All You Faithful, the 10th and 11th episode of Season 36, in which famed British mentalist Derren Brown comes to Springfield and uses psychological tricks and showmanship to raise the town's Christmas spirit. A hypnotized Homer believes he's Santa Claus, causing everyone to question what they believe. Wow.
So We're still going to keep this episode tight, right? Only like a nice 60 minutes.
If even that. I mean, I think we can get it down to 45, no problem.
All right, sounds good.
Alrighty, well, we'll take a very short break, and then we'll have a very short episode. We'll be right back.
We're gonna groove tonight. We'll make you feel alright. Simpsons Christmas boogie. We're dancing to the beat. We'll make you move your feet. Simpsons Christmas boogie. Simpsons Christmas boogie. Simpsons Christmas boogie.
And we're back. Today we're talking about Oh Come On Ye Faithful, the 10th and 11th episode of the 36th season. It is episodes 778 and 779 in the show's run, and they originally aired on December 17th, 2024. Your nerd codes are 35ABF21 and 35ABF22. It was written by Carolyn Omine, directed by Debbie Bruce Mahan and Matthew Faughnan, and your showrunners are Carolyn Omine, Matt Selman, and Al Jean.
This is the first time The Simpsons had an actual episode on Disney Plus. Exclusive, Steve. Exclusive.
It's true, and some amazing things about this. This is the first episode, like you said, of The Simpsons on Disney Plus, this full episode, but it's also only the third Fox Sunday night animation show not to be on Fox on Sunday night, the first two being episodes of Family Guy. And also, this is airing exactly 35 years after the premiere of The Simpsons, which, of course, is Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire.
Do you think they didn't air this on Fox because they didn't want to have like 2 extra episodes this season on Fox?
I think it's possible. Also, I think that they're kind of thinking about like the rewatch value of it. And so if they have it on Disney Plus, people can watch it on Christmas weekend rather than having to worry about it being on Hulu, maybe. I don't know.
I think it's just because, this is the way we're watching TV now. We don't sit at in front of our TVs on our couches Sundays at 8 o'clock anymore.
It's a shame.
I mean, we do. We're just not watching The Simpsons. We're watching pornography. Steve, your usual Sunday evening pornography.
It's a good time for the family, especially the stepmothers.
A lot of stepmothers in your future, Steve.
Yeah, they keep on getting stuck in dryers. It's weird.
All right, well, Carolyn Omine, I feel like she is our patron saint of this podcast.
That's right. That's why when we have a Patreon, she'll be one of our first guests because she'll be then our Patreon saint.
We've never had a guest, mostly because I think we would be like Chris Farley in that Chris Farley sketch from 30 years ago when he had Paul McCartney on.
You were on The Simpsons? That was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, what are we going to say? Wow, Caroline, so you're from Hawaii, huh? Got a July 5th birthday? That's cool. So what's it like being the first female executive producer for The Simpsons? Do you have any funny stories about Bob Saget on the set of Full House?
Or Robert Townsend on The Parenthood?
That's it. What do you eat for lunch?
Yeah, and these are hitting questions, yes.
The reason we bring her up is because she was the co-writer for the very first episode that we ever reviewed. And that, of course, is Dial N for Nerder. She wrote that with William Wright. So that's kind of like our episode 1. I mean, it was our episode 1. But, she's on the social medias. I've looked. We follow her, but I'd be too nervous to text her or DM her, slide into her digital mentions. Is that what DM stands for? Digital mentions?
I assume so, yes.
Or dildo mail?
Yes, I think it stands for dildo mail.
But we've reviewed, Steve.
Wow, a lot.
13. Yeah, 13. And she's got 28, so we're not even done yet, Steve. We're not even halfway there.
Almost halfway there, yeah. Most recently, we talked about the Homer of Seville, in which Homer becomes an opera singer. And I think we were both pleasantly surprised by how much we liked that episode, thinking about, like, when we initially saw it, we were kind of iffy on it. So, yeah, I think that she has a pretty good track record. A Star is Torn, Strong Arms of the Ma, Little Big Mom, a lot of mom episodes, Working Mom.
It's almost like she's a mom herself.
Could be, yes. She indeed has a full house.
When she wrote on Full House, she did a lot of Stephanie episodes, if I remember correctly, in my rewatch. And she really liked writing Stephanie, I think. That's another question I'd ask her.
Yeah. I mean, we've probably talked about this, but I think that Stephanie is probably the most compelling character.
Yeah, she was the best character.
Yeah.
Next to that fucking puppet that Joey had.
Mr. Woodchuck.
And that was it. They were the only good characters. But Steve, this is a packed episode. You know, usually we would have reviewed part 1 first and then part 2, like we've done for 2-parters. But since they presented this as like a 45-minute package, I think we need to head on to reviewing this episode because it's a long one for us.
So let's begin. And our happy holiday spectacular does begin, as it always does, in harsh sepia tones, with a British narrator describing how festive Christmas time should be, but in the town of Springfield, there is no Yuletide joy. As the Englishman explains, the smells of the tire fire and donut oil from Lard Lad is the only thing filling the spirits of Springfieldians. We see Dedrick Tatum using a poop bag to clean up the fresh mess made by his rare white tiger.
Yeah, we saw that tiger in last week's episode with the counseling with Susie Essman.
Yes, I know that canonically the Dedrick Tatum is like Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson has a white tiger, as we saw in The Hangover. But I like to believe that Siegfried and Roy, or the Springfield version of them, when they passed, he got the white tiger in an auction because they also had a white tiger.
You know what? I'll allow it, Steve. It's Christmas. I'll let you be right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
The narrator goes on to say that Springfield is the perfect town to conduct an experiment. Before revealing his identity, it's mentalist and psychological illusionist Derren Brown. He intends to use hypnosis, social compliance, his British accents, and psychology to raise the Christmas spirit of town. Steve, is Derren Brown a real person?
Yes, he is an English mentalist and illusionist, as you mentioned, and he's a performer who's been performing since 1992, mostly in England, doing kind of like a Chris Angel, who's that other magician who like stood on ice or whatever, David Blaine, kind of that ilk, but less freaky and more about mental powers, and he kind of uses it to dissuade people from cults and stuff. So it's kind of an interesting thing because he manipulates minds to stop people from manipulating minds.
He's like our version of, what was his name? He's dead now. James Randi, that's who I'm thinking of.
Okay.
He was a magician, but he was also like a skeptic and like was telling people like everything's fake and I could prove, he was like the debunker of like people believing in like those, remember that one guy that he had a TV show for a hot minute who would talk to the dead?
John Edwards, yeah, who was a huckster. And so James Randi was like one of those guys that was like, no, these people are fake and phonies. Don't trust, no one can actually talk to the dead. Sorry. Wow.
So someone like that. So that's what kind of like Derren Brown is also doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of an interesting choice because he is not well known in the U.S. as far as I know. And looking at like the subreddit of the Simpsons and stuff, like people don't really know who he is. And also in England, his show hasn't been on since 2011. However, he did recently star in Broadway in, I think, 2019. And he is an author. So I think that he does have a following. But I think it is an interesting choice to have him be such an integral part of a Christmas episode. You know what I mean? Like it's a choice.
It's some choice, Steve.
Indeed. Well, as eerie Christmas music begins to play, we see pictures harkening back to Christmases past, such as
Mr. Bird sending the hounds on the Three Spirits from A Christmas Carol.
See Captain McAllister spilling his wine as he falls fast asleep in front of the fire, unaware that his wooden leg is about to go up in flames.
Database and Millhouse being sent to hell by Krampus, as portrayed by Krusty.
Lenny and Carl, fresh on a hunting trip with their kill, who just happens to be Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer.
Well, thank you for clarifying.
Good.
The Dancing Devils of Corpus Christi, including Maggie.
That's right. So, Derren Brown begins his special. Springfield used to be incredibly festive during the holidays, but due to climate catastrophes, various fascisms, and unfortunately self-financed J-Lo movies, the town is now grumpy and Scrooge-like. And to prove that point, a split screen is shown, one half depicting Dr. Hibbert slipping on the ice as he attempts to get out of his car until the vehicle slips away from him, and the other half shows Helen Lovejoy icing snowman cupcakes until her icing bag gets clogged, causing her to squeeze extra hard, and that makes a blast all over the snow people, making it look like a horrific crime scene.
Do you think Timothy likes when Helen Lovejoy squeezes extra hard, making him blast all over?
I think he does, for sure, like all over the trains. However, for a moment there, I forgot that Reverend Lovejoy's first name was Timothy, and I thought you were talking about someone else.
You mean number one Annoy Grunt Boy fan, Timothy?
Exactly. Sorry, Timothy. I mean, maybe you like it, and if you do, more power to you, man. That's cool, too.
Yeah, Timothy, let us know at 138simpsons@gmail.com if you love it when Helen squeezes hard and you blast. All right. Derren Brown plans on changing the dour bah humbug mood of Springfield using his unnecessary large crew of accomplices who are posing as the crew of angelic-sounding Hark Media. He begins by doing a surprise interview with Mayor Quimby, asking him how he feels about Springfield being awarded the Christmastiest town in America, winning the holiday makeover of the town square. Unaware, but hoping to hide it, Diamond Joe stammers and uses his mayor's sash to wipe the sweat off his brow, saying that he's thrilled about the award, which Derren and his crew just made up.
So, as Quimby awkwardly pretends to be excited about the fake award, we learn that this is all a ruse by Derren Brown to make Quimby confused and therefore easier to manipulate. The mayor also has other things on his mind, such as Miss Springfield looking to grab the key to take to his lake house, and not actually the key of the city like Mayor Quimby claims. Looking to avoid any controversy regarding his infidelity, Mayor Quimby agrees to having Springfield filmed with hidden cameras all over the town. And looking to avoid camera time of his own, Mayor Quimby allows the surveillance before running to hide in Town Hall.
So the first step of Derren Brown's plan to raise Christmas spirits is to give the town square a holiday makeover, a prize for winning the fake contest. The town may look more cheery, but not all residents welcome the joyous facade.
They put Christmas decorations up earlier and earlier.
It's mid-December.
Still a good joke.
It's not a joke. It's just a thing everyone says.
'Cause it's hilarious.
Hey, Homer, earlier and earlier, huh?
How did you even...
I always have one loaded.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I know the joke is when you are, it's August and you're, at the store and there's Halloween stuff. Yeah, that is earlier, but I like to make that joke now. It's like at the store and it's Christmas Eve. I'm like, can't believe the Christmas stuff is already up. It's so early. It's a good joke. I agree with Homer on that one.
It is, although I do have to agree with Lisa a little bit, too, about how people, especially on the internet, will say things that aren't actually jokes, just common phrases, and people will interpret it as a joke. But, skibbity toilet.
Yeah, Steve, you have gat.
No cap. Yeah.
Also, the spit take bit was pretty good.
Yeah, spit takes will always be funny to me, and the fact that it was just without any liquid. He just has one loaded all the time. That's pretty funny.
Although I was kind of wishing that Lisa didn't point that out. just let it be. Have you ever laughed so hard you spit something you're drinking?
I don't know if I've had a spit take, but I do know that I've taken a drink and then something funny happened or somebody said something funny and I choked on my beverage and maybe it shot out my nose, which is actually more painful but kind of funnier.
I think what I do mostly is if I'm laughing or trying to conceal a laugh in if I'm in bed early morning and I'll put an earbud in to listen to a podcast, and if it's a comedy podcast and there's something particularly funny, I try to hold the laughter because if someone else is sleeping in the room with me and I'm don't want to wake them, just imagine you're sleeping and all of a sudden you just hear laughter. It'd be kind of a weird way to wake up. But yeah, so on a nearby street, good old Gil Gunderson is dressed as a Christmas tree, handing out flyers for dental implants, jokingly offer 2 front teeth for Christmas. So as Derren Brown narrates, Gil has a dead-end job, which he is bad at, and time is running out for Gil to call his family before the holiday arrives, but he lacks confidence to make that call.
Well, Brown looks to solve that by making Gil a hero. He instructs his crew to release a runaway baby carriage down a hill, with a watermelon standing in place of the child. While Gil laments that his family has no interest in him, the stroller slams into him, stopping its momentum. So a woman comes to check on Gil, and other crew members replace the watermelon with an actual child, claiming that Gil saved the child. Now, feeling like a brave, strong man of action, Gil gives his one-time love a call. We then see other residents of Springfield facing their own personal complexities, such as Disco Stew and his other interests, aside from disco, and Nelson pounding Martin Prince.
Bonnie, it's Gil. That is. It's good to hear your voice too, honey. Right, no, honey. I would love to spend Christmas with you and the kids. Sure, I could pick up a tree. Actually, I already have one.
Not your stupid costume.
No, that's not what I was... I'll go to the tree lot. Christmas with the fam. Ha-cha-cha.
For Gil, being a colossal failure was the story he'd been telling himself. And each of us tells ourselves stories. Stories about who we are.
Disco Stew is into free verse poetry. Also,
Stories that limit who we can be.
I don't have an anger problem. Anger helps me punch.
Some stories are complicated.
Back then, hockey was played on sand, and the puck was a lightly broiled clam.
That was a fun clip because we got to see Nelson and Martin, as we discussed on this podcast. They're going to eventually end up together, lovingly. And I always love a wacky grandpa story where he just talks and talks and talks about nothing in particular.
Well, I like hockey, and I didn't realize that that's how hockey was originally played.
Yeah, that's why the Whalers were so good of a team back in the day, because they would have loose clamshells all over the place, and they would practice with that.
You know, fun trivia about this podcast, Steve. So the very first episode, Dial In for Another, which Carolyn Omine wrote, who wrote this episode, as we've established, the Nelson and Martin theory that we put together of them becoming lovers actually originated in our very first episode.
Wow, I never thought about that, but you're totally right. Wow, we've been doing that for 307 episodes.
Yep.
Wow.
Our longest bit.
Yeah, good on them. I like that our longest bit is implying that 2 8-year-old boys are having sex with each other.
They're 10.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's fine then. That's what I call the gateway age, or gatesway age.
Timely, Steve. Well, over at Costington's, Homer is allowing Maggie to dress him in various sunglasses and bucket hats while Marge shops. So she remarks that the Gap is strictly for tramps now, before offering to watch the bags while Homer shops. Homer claims to suck at shopping, but Marge states that she can't do all the shopping, adding that he needs to buy a present for her. So he wonders if anything nearby entices Marge, but she feels that she's already had enough cufflinks. And she never wears sleeves, though, Steve, so...
It's true.
I guess one set is enough.
Yeah. I still remember at my brother's wedding a few years back, 10 years back now, he was so proud of getting us beer cap cufflinks for all the groomsmen, but he didn't have us wear French cuff shirts, so it was just buttons. So we had to jam them in to get them to stay on, because if you don't have cufflink shirts, cufflinks don't really work. So every time I think about cufflinks, that's what I think about.
I have one shirt that takes cufflinks.
Is it like a fake tuxedo shirt? Like one of those t-shirts?
No, yeah. No, it's an actual button-down shirt. I actually like French cuff shirts. I'm sure you go into higher end stores, you could find them, but you can't find them at your usual, Targets or Kohl's, Meyer and Frank, Mervyn's.
JC Penney's.
Sears.
Or Robux.
Yeah. What other stores are out of business now?
Most of them.
Most of them, yeah. Probably the Gap.
Old Navy.
Thank God we have Jeff Bezos' company where we just buy all of our clothes.
It's sad, but kind of true. Looking at what I'm wearing now, I'm like, yeah.
Hey, I'm not ashamed to admit it, Steve, but I will buy Amazon Basics, their brand of clothing.
Yeah, I mean, I do it too. Amazon is a horrible company, but all of capitalism is bad, and so what are you going to do? I don't know. Especially this time of year, capitalism. What are you going to do?
Christmas shopping is so much easier these days.
It's true, but not for Homer, because the camera crew follows him as he tries to shop, and they learn just how much he sucks at picking out gifts. So amidst a Malibu Stacy beach party playset, and personalized talking astrolabe and Funzo dolls, which are all fun references to previous Simpsons Christmas episodes, Homer considers getting Marge a journal. But then he doubts himself, wondering if his wife actually has innermost thoughts. He then looks at a revealing bit of lingerie, but worries that it may be too sexual. Next, he finds a book of Sudokus, but he worries that they might not be sexual enough. And then he picks up a bowling ball, but he remembers that he already tried that on Marty's birthday, which is a fun bit of reference.
Well, Homer calls himself the worst, saying that he makes others sad. Derren Brown is stunned by all the negative self-talk, and Homer throws products to the ground, declaring that he should die, and they should donate his body to a crappy medical school where they'll study his brain to learn how he sucks at buying presents. This whole bit with Homer, was really sad and, really well acted.
Yeah, it's, him, spinning the gift cards around and them falling to the ground and sticking to his face. I thought it was a nice touch, and it is, for a Christmas, episode, it is kind of like a dark thing, for him to wish that he was dead, much like It's a Wonderful Life. But yeah, it was good. I liked it. So Derren Brown gets the assistance of Marge, telling her that with his psychological tricks, he can manipulate the town into believing that it's more Christmas-like. And Marge at first worries that it's irresponsible to play with people's minds like that, but since it's for a TV show, it's fine. The mental manipulator feels that Homer is bad at gift-giving simply because he tells himself that he's bad at it, but Marge thinks that Homer is just truly bad at picking out gifts, such as that time that he gave Bart a CPR dummy, which Bart hated and refused to revive. Although I gotta say, if Bart was a few years older, he might have fun with that in a different way.
Oh, I get it. When he's, old enough to drive, maybe?
Yeah, who's gonna go down that HOV lane? Bart is.
Exactly. He'll have a carpool.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, do you consider yourself a good gift giver?
I would like to believe that I am.
All right.
Yeah, I think I am. How about you, Craig?
Yeah, I think I'm adequate.
I usually tend to go for, if I can't go for quality, I go for quantity and confuse them.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I'll find something like a theme, and I kind of stick with that theme.
That's a good call, yeah.
So, for instance, if it was oh, I know they like Ghostbusters, and all of a sudden, here's a Ghostbusters board game, here's a Ghostbusters shirt, here's a Ghostbusters socks, and, and so on and so forth. I think you're actually a good gift giver. There's been times when I've said something on this podcast, just, nonchalantly, how much I love, Ferraris, right? Ferraris are really cool cars, Steve. I just love a Ferrari. I'll see you sent me a present, and there it is, and it's fun. So yeah, Ferraris are cool.
So you like frogs, you say?
No! But I remember one year we were talking about some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that were Star Trek, and I thought they were funny and never got them. Then for Christmas, you sent them, and it was really, really fun.
I try.
I didn't open them, Steve. I did sell them, and I got $5 billion.
Oh, good. That's good, because the $250 I spent on eBay totally made that worth it. So, yeah. I also like Ferrari cars.
Do you prefer a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox?
Oh, much like Rob Thomas, I'm all about that Matchbox 20.
I did get you a gift this year, Steve, but you won't get it on Christmas. Sorry.
That's okay. I think I got something you're sending your way too. So,
Steve, why are you typing on Amazon.com right now?
No reason.
We all know if I really wanted a car, Steve, it's going to be a DeLorean, but it has to have the time travel stuff on it, or the Ecto one from Ghostbusters. I only want cars that are movie based.
Of course, yes.
Michael Keaton Batmobile, preferably.
Ooh, yeah, that's cool. I would even take the weird looking Batmobile from the Dark Knight Nolan series, even though it's kind of ugly. But it's a car.
I was never into that one. Yeah, I mean, if we talk Batmobiles, it's Keaton and then Adam West.
Of course, yeah. I would go Adam West all the way. It's classic.
All right. So back to The Simpsons, Steve. In an attempt to make Homer more thoughtful, Derren Brown asks Marge to sign a form allowing him to hypnotize Homer. Marge is apprehensive about signing in her husband's name, but Brown pulls a Jedi mind trick that would make old Ben Kenobi proud, and Marge is gaslit into thinking that she doesn't feel that way at all. Derren Brown admits that it wasn't his proudest moment, but feels it was all for the greater good.
Sure it was, Derren. Homer steps into the Springfield Mall and is distracted by a vending machine, where he sees that his favorite cupcake has been Christmas-mified. So he inserts cash and enters the code, but rather than receiving that preservative-filled pastry, Homer receives a maniacal laugh from the machine. He slams his hand on the vending machine, causing him to fall through it, down a tunnel, shouting, "You don't eat me, I eat you!"
Well, Homer slides down the tunnel in a misty room bathed in red light. He sees a neon sign that flickers the word ho 3 times before spelling out Homer. Kind of funny because it's, ho, 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 Homer. And pointing him to the destination. Homer finds Derren Brown standing at a table, assuring him that both he and his cupcake are perfectly safe. Derren Brown then sends Homer into a hypnotic state, so he instructs Homer to open his eyes to look at him. But Homer is only focused on the snack cake, and Derren Brown uses an unorthodox method of getting Homer's attention, holding up the cupcake to his forehead so Homer will look directly at him.
Homer, I'm going to help you become the person you actually already are. Someone who is great at giving gifts.
Is that who I really am?
Absolutely. You are a natural gift giver. You observe people, you pay attention, and you see what...
I see them when they're sleeping.
Well, more so when they're awake, but you know that...
I know when they're awake.
Sure. But more importantly, you no longer dread the holidays, because you know that...
I am Santa.
No, Homer, you're not Santa. You are just a regular person who gives nice gifts.
Oh, right. Just a regular guy.
Wait, why did you wink knowingly?
Did I?
Okay, I'm stopping this. And wait! Homer?
Yes, Homer.
He's still winking!
Is he stuck?
You can't get stuck in hypnosis.
I hope everyone did watch this because I think the bit of animation, a visual of Homer nodding that he's Santa Claus when he's being hypnotized is really, really funny.
Yeah, and just the visual of this episode in general is really interesting because even though it is a modern day Simpsons, I don't know what it is. It just has kind of a classic feel to the look of it. And I really like the way that they're in that red light. It reminds me of in the early seasons of The Simpsons when somebody would have a dream or an imagination and the color scheme would be all wacky. And I just think that's really fun and absurdist. So yeah, really nice touch.
And scary.
Indeed. So Derren Brown examines his How to Hypnotize book before saying that Homer somehow grabbed one of those Santified cupcakes and began eating it. When asked how he got the cupcake, Homer states that he's a sprightly little elf, and Derren begs Homer to loudly state that he is not, in fact, Santa, and Homer does, but with a wink and a touch of the nose and a jolly laugh. He then wishes them a happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
So Derren and his crew are concerned with good reason at the Springfield nuclear power plant. Homer, wearing a red beanie and red jacket, is looking to get a new company idea, Santa. And Smithers is unsure about the request, and Homer plays along, saying that he can't let the Muggles know who he truly is. He then gives Waylon a thimble. So Smithers is confused until Mr. Burns bursts in.
Smithers, you said this bagel would have everything on it, but it's missing so many things. Talc, neon, laughter. Is that for me?
Sure.
When I was a child, this was my favorite toy.
And what happened then? Well, in Springfield, they say that Burns's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Emergency cardiac reduction. Stop!
Thank you, Smithers. Merry Christmas.
Smithers was the first to believe. The children believed immediately. Everywhere Homer went, they inundated him with present requests. One special little boy decided to join Homer in his delusion.
My head talk told me I'm your elf.
My tummy talk told me you need to get your boss more fries.
So starting with the beginning of that clip with Burns, I don't know if this joke has been done before, but Burns saying that this everything bagel is missing so many things like laughter. It's just funny that an everything bagel doesn't have everything. I like it.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing that joke, but the one I kind of remember they've done, and I feel like you put them in joke jail, was doing the Grinch jokes. Like the heart, 2 sizes, 3 sizes. I feel like we've seen that before.
Yes.
And the smile, too. The Grinch smile.
We have something, I don't know if it's just the spirit of Christmas, but the fact that he went to the hospital because his heart was 3 sizes too big, it kind of worked for me.
So are we releasing the Grinch joke from joke jail?
At least for the holiday season. I mean, come January 1st, he's back in prison. But for now, there's clemency.
He can hang out with Luigi.
Not guilty. Also, have we seen Ralph and Homer ever pair up together?
Well, on this website, Rule 34, I have.
Of course.
They've acknowledged each other, but I don't think they've had an adventure.
Because later on in the episode, there's another pairing of two characters who we've not really seen together that I noticed that people on the internet really enjoyed. But this one I think really works.
Let me guess. Lisa and Homer.
Exactly. So Homer's transformation to Santa becomes more and more believable to the people around him, including the patrons of Moe's Tavern, such as Lenny, Carl, and Barney, who is sporting blonde hair, much like he did in the season premiere, or the series premiere, Simpsons Roasting on Open Fire, which is another really nice touch.
Was that an error, or did they purposely do that?
I feel like they purposely did that because if you look at the first season, Barney's hair was just like that. It was just like, much like Lisa or Bart, it was just lines that didn't delineate between him and his skin color. And I assume that it was a nod to the original.
So are we saying that this takes place during the first season? Even though we already know the Christmas episode.
I mean, maybe he just dyed his hair for a bit of nostalgia.
Then why wasn't Smithers black?
Well, because, like I say, it's modern day, but Barney just dyed his hair for nostalgia, but Smithers can't dye his skin black for nostalgia because that's when you get canceled.
Well, now I want to see that episode.
I'm sure that, if Trump has this way, they'll force the Simpsons to be different and be like, well, we can do blackface again, and so they'll do it in season 37, not a political podcast.
Sounds like a fun 4 years, Steve.
Exactly. Woohoo! Mo says that he typically spends the holiday with the head-in-the-oven fashion, but since he has the actual Santa Claus drinking his beer and peeing in his bathroom, it truly is a Christmas miracle.
So I never understood the head-in-the-oven way to off yourself, and again, if you need help this time of the year, it's particularly tough. 844, is that the number? 888?
888, I believe.
Okay. So you just turn the oven on hot and then put your head in and hope it burns? Is that what happens?
So this was a long time for me to realize too, but before electrical stoves were commonplace, yes, gas stoves were the way. So you turn on the gas and then you get monoxide poisoning or whatever. Yeah, but I also was like...
You get sleepy. Yeah.
Right. I always thought though, like you, what a grisly way to go to burn your face off.
And hey, just to keep things cheery, that's how Weird Al Yankovic's parents died. There was a gas leak in their house, and they all died.
Wow.
Suffocated from a gas leak. Yeah. So Merry Christmas.
Do you think when they checked his body, they poked the dead bodies?
I just remember it was weird because he was on tour and didn't cancel shows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. Also, R.I.P. Conan O'Brien's parents, who died 3 days with each other.
Who else of our beloved people that we worship can we make feel bad?
R.I.P. Carrie Fisher, who died a few years ago on Christmas.
When Pee Wee Herman, before he died, he learned that his parents died, so he went to the theater and jerked off. Is that what we're doing?
And when Fred Willard's parents died, he also went to theater to jerk off. Also R.I.P. Fred Willard.
And, of course, when Martin Luther King Jr., when his parents died, he went to the theater and jerked off.
And then someone shot him. Because he shot... All right, never mind.
Terrible.
We are going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. There might not be a hell, Steve. Let's just continue the episode.
Okay.
Well, Homer is accompanied by his elf, Ralph, and appears on the local news show Smartline, telling Kent Brockman that he's always been Santa-like, adding that his stomach has an innate jelliness. So when asked about his magical powers, Homer coyly admits that he has a few, and Ralph says that when you pull his finger, Homer's pants cough. So Homer is also incredibly tolerant towards lactose, able to drink gallons upon gallons of milk as well as eat any cookie, though his favorite happens to be chocolate chip with N and N's. Oh, also R.I.P. Eminem's mom, the rapper, his mom just died. So.
Oh, wow. She doesn't exist.
Pour some old spaghetti out for his mom.
Yes.
All right, Steve, what is your favorite cookie, or to our British listeners, your favorite biscuit?
This is my favorite time of the year for cookies because I like a gingerbread cookie, a molasses cookie, if you will.
Is Christmas a cookie holiday?
Yeah, I think that it might be a cookie holiday. I know this has been a debate with some people. To me, it is the ultimate cookie holiday, and I don't know of any other holiday that is more cookie-like.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, of course.
So gingerbread, continue.
Yeah, I make a ginger molasses cookie with like crystallized ginger and white chocolate chips, and it is delightful. So that's my favorite cookie. What about you?
Well, that's pretty fancy, Steve. Do you eat that year-round?
No, usually just in November and December.
So what's your year-round cookie?
Okay. I think that an oatmeal chocolate chip is great. I think that oatmeal is maligned unfairly, and I think it adds a fun bit of texture and complexity to a classic chocolate chip.
Yeah, I've always loved an oatmeal chocolate. I've even loved an oatmeal raisin.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't prefer. I think sometimes you put like a walnut in it. I'm not a fan of that.
No.
I like nuts, but I don't really like nuts in my mouth, you know?
Sure, yeah.
Like Kung Pao chicken, I like the flavor. I just don't like the peanuts. Why are you putting peanuts in there? But we're not talking about Chinese food, Steve. We're talking about cookies.
It's true.
So I gotta go with a fortune cookie. I think is my favorite.
It's delicious and so deep.
No, I mean, a chocolate chip cookie is great and classic. You know, nice fresh one out of the oven.
Oh, sure.
Is great. But I don't know. I've always loved sugar cookies and shortbread.
Yeah, shortbread is great.
I even love like Nilla wafers. Like I love plain cookie.
Yeah. And if we're talking about manufactured processed cookies, like in packages, I mean, I think that the OG Oreo is kind of cookie perfection. It's hard to top that.
Yeah. Oreos are great. I feel like Oreos shouldn't be called cookies. I think Oreos are Oreos.
Ooh,
they're
yeah.
like in a world of their own.
That's a good point.
I could go to town on a package of Oreos. I've never had a bad Oreo.
Yeah.
Even all the wacky flavors, like they're still tasty. And it's always fun to like walk down that cookie aisle and see like a new flavor.
And I'm impressed by the thin line of Oreos too, because usually something that is more, I don't want to say healthy, but like health conscious is lesser. But I find like the thin Oreo thins to be really nice because the balance of cream to cookies, I think it works really well, especially with the mint.
Yeah, I've said this on the podcast before. The Thin Mint Oreo is better than the Girl Scouts. So, fuck you, girls.
Indeed. Fuck you, girls. And the vest you rode in on.
That was for our listener, Matt. You just always wants us to say fuck you, girls.
Yes, Matt G. from Florida. So, in the center of Springfield, Christmas chime cheer is at an all-time high as Mayor Quimby reveals a sign that says, Home of the Actual Santa Claus. And while Homer and Ralph avoid fans and paparazzi, a la the Beatles in It's a Hard Day's Night, a cappella singing group Pentatonic sing about his fame to the tune of Comfort and Joy. I have been peripherally aware of Pentatonics, but I've never like really gotten into them. Have they ever like had any impact on your life?
No. And I know Matt Gaetz is a pentatonic, so.
Exactly, yeah.
Is that what they're called?
I think so, yeah. The only a cappella group that I fuck with is Rockapella and their endless quest to find that elusive Carmen Sandiego.
Didn't you know that the lead singer of Rockapella's parents were murder-suicide on Christmas?
Oh.
Okay, that one I may be making up.
Did he go to the porno theater to jack off and go, huh?
Yeah. His jizz landed on some lady with a giant red cap on.
Did they call him a gumshoe?
Yeah, he's a gumshoe. All right. Gumshoes. Let's get back to The Simpsons.
So the devotion, or standing, as Derren Brown puts it, to Santa gets a little odd, as Kurt Van Houten claims that the Star of Bethlehem is the mothership that will leave the naughty behind and send the nice to the North Pole, where they'll become immortal, much like Rudolph the Red. Blessed be his nose.
So meanwhile, at the nearby soup kitchen, Ned Flanders and his boys offer food to the less fortunate, while explaining his dislikes of Santa worship. So as he grabs another large can of chunky farm's tail and tendon soup, Ned shares his skepticism on the big man in the sky, wondering how people could be so gold-diddly-olable believing in an imaginary being who decides who is good and who is bad.
Marge is also unsure of Homer's Santa Clausing, saying that she appreciates Homer's newfound sweetness and consideration, but she now has to share him with the rest of the world. I also want to say that I really enjoy the progression of Homer to Santa. Like, it's very subtle, but it happens. I don't know if they're specifically referencing the Tim Allen series of films, but if they are, whatever.
Well, I don't know. I think Homer with a gray beard is working for him.
And I like the red beanie, red jacket look. Like, that's just a nice fashion.
He's got the zaddy vibes going on, right, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a word?
I think it is,
right.
yeah. And speaking of which, everywhere they go, kids sit on Homer's lap, which makes Maggie incredibly jealous. Brown asks Bart if he thinks his father being Santa is thrilling, and Bart nonchalantly replies that it's something, taking a bite of some Chinese food with or without peanuts.
So while trying to increase the Christmas spirit in Springfield, Derren Brown inadvertently created a cult of Santa, which images of Homer as St. Nick all over the town, on billboards, parade floats, and posters reminiscent of Shepard Fairey's Hope posters, which, can we put that in visual joke jail?
Yeah. When Parks and Recs did it with Nope, I was like, yep, that's funny. And ever since then, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. Even Comic Book Guy is smitten by the trend, wearing a sweater featuring Homer as Santa, as Che Guevara, at the town's Christmas Jubilee. So Derren Brown decides to tell the good people of Springfield just what he's been up to.
Hello, I'm Derren Brown. Many of you know me as the dashing chap who's been interviewing you for a documentary about Springfield. I have a confession. I'm actually a hypnotist/magician, really well known in the UK. Sort of the Beyoncé of British mentalists, apparently.
I've never heard of you, and I have a subscription to BritBox.
Charming story. We came here with a plan to make you feel more Christmas spirit than you actually had. But you know what? We found that the joy of the season has been here the whole time with you guys.
Yeah, that's because of Santa over there.
Yes, that's the thing. Homer is not Santa.
What?
No! He thought he was, as a side effect of being hypnotized, which is not a thing that happens with hypnotism usually. Maybe there's a delightful part of Homer that longed to be Santa, but Marge needs her homie back.
I really like Moe, this is the second time he did it, saying Santa Claus, just because it's so on brand for Moe.
Yeah, I think it's one of his mini catchphrases, like, I'm gonna kill you, Bart, and here's your beer, Lenny.
And hiya, Homer.
Oh yeah, that one too.
I don't know if this is like intentional, but it's kind of fun that Homer is turning into Santa Claus because, again, in the first episode, which aired 35 years prior to this episode, exactly to the date, Homer's whole deal was he had to be Santa to make Christmas happen. So I think that's a nice little nod.
They're rebooting the first episode.
Exactly. Which is all reboots and remakes are now. It's just redoing the exact same thing, but slightly different. Derren Brown asks the townsfolk if they all want Homer back to his Homer self, and they all sit in silence except for Kirk, who shouts, "Not really!" Despite their wishes, Derren invites Homer on stage to re-hypnotize him. Homer agrees, calling him Cupcake Face, and Derek uses his power of mental manipulation to bring Homer back as a husband, father, and nuclear something or other.
Steve, are you allowed to use the term cupcake face? It seems kind of derogatory.
Oh, yeah. I think I can say cupcake face, but I can't call somebody a ding-dong head. Or a ho-ho.
What about a...
Oh, boy. No.
What?
Can't say that at all, no.
Sorry. Should we bleep those?
I mean, you're going to piss off Betty Crocker, Sarah Lee, and Duncan Hines with those kind of words.
Well, Homer no longer believes that he's Santa, but the people of Springfield aren't pleased. Moe asks to be unhypnotized as well, but Derren explains he didn't hypnotize anyone else aside from Homer. So Moe's confused, as the rest of the town went nuts for Santa Claus. But as Derren Brown explains, they went nuts for falling for the same trick that lead to people into cults.
Derren Brown describes the allure of a charismatic leader, and in the audience, Ned whispers to Marge, saying that Kris Kringle was another charismatic leader who was simply a character from an old book. When Brown describes people praising Santa in song, Ned admits to being swept away by a hymn or two in his day. And then Derren Brown goes on to describe the blind faith of most people which leads Ned to make a shocking discovery about himself.
When everyone around you believes something, even something preposterous like a magic man flying through the sky on a sleigh, you go along with it.
That's right. There's no magic man in the sky.
You don't ask yourself the questions you're afraid to ask, like, what if you're in the wrong relationship? What if the things you value most are an illusion?
What if there is no God? Ned. What if there is no God? Sweet Jesus on a Triscuit. There'd be no heaven. There'd be no soul. Oh my God. I mean, oh my nothing.
Okay, stop it right there. Yes, I don't know, the whole there's no God bit. It's not very Christmassy, is it? Let's cut it, and we'll end on me saying, Homer's back, with some upbeat music.
How about Santa Baby?
No, something public domain, like, Greensleeves. Or Row, Row, Row Your Boat.
Got it. Lunch?
You read my mind. Not really, obviously you didn't. You know I don't believe in that stuff.
Yeah, I always know.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny bit at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Greensleeves is one of my favorites, Steve. I haven't listened to it this year, you know?
I know, you gotta get it in early and often.
Yeah.
Before you get sick of it playing on the radio all day long. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah.
Is that... Wait, you know, I'm thinking of a different song, Steve. I'm thinking of Good King Wenceslas.
Oh, yes, that one's a jam.
It is. Because I think of Muppet Christmas Carol.
Ah, yes.
And Good King Wenceslas has your name in it, Steve.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah. It's Feast of Stephen, right? Is that a lyric?
I do believe it is, yeah, because, of course, my holiday is St. Stephen's Day, which is the day after Christmas, also known as Boxing Day, in which I put on boxing gloves and I hit small children who didn't give me what I wanted for Christmas.
And you know what Matt Gaetz does on Boxing Day with small children? All right. Should we put like a ticker on the Matt Gaetz jokes? Because it's just fun.
Yeah. I just don't know if we should be talking about Matt Gaetz and children's boxes, so...
But that's what he wants to talk about.
That's true.
Well, later, as Ned declares his newfound lack of faith, his worried children tell him that he doesn't believe in God. Satan will turn their milk sour and leave them barren. Ned tells Rod and Todd not to be scared, since if there is no God, there's no Satan. And Ned nervously shouts that no one is in charge, causing Marge to take him away to help calm him down. Now, I remember we did an episode... I don't remember when it was, but didn't they already do this story with, like, Todd losing his faith and not believing in God?
Yes, I also don't remember when that was from, but it was like, yes, a couple of seasons ago, like probably in the very modern, like 34, 35 season. I will say that initially I was very iffy on the plot device of Ned losing his faith because him being so pious and so religious. That him to just give up on his faith seems cheap and unearned, but we're about to get there because on the rooftop of the town hall, Marge tells Ned that he shouldn't stop believing just because of some British guy, adding that the Brits only appear smarter thanks to their accents and their great baking. Ned replies that it wasn't just the events of the evening that filled him with doubt, because things had been rattling around in his noodle, such as, and this is what kind of made me accept this a little bit, how could God take 2 wives away from him?
As long as God doesn't take away his 2 knives, then it's okay.
That'd be pretty awful.
So he then tells his future and 3rd wife, according to our canon, that he follows all 10 commandments and even wrote 3 of his own. So he feels as though God would bless someone who tries so hard, but instead he has 2 dead wives and a weird pinky toe. Jesus can wear sandals, but he can't? All right, I guess it's new canon that Ned's got weird toes.
I wonder what they look like. I wonder if they're like on top of each other or like all bendy, or does he have like finger toes?
Well, I can tell you right now, Steve.
Oh?
Look down at your toes. That's what they look like.
Oh.
You fucking weirdo.
Weird.
Yeah.
If you're curious, just go to wikifeet.com/user/annoyedgruntboy.
Yeah, what's your wiki score?
I got a 4.5.
Ugh. That's good. My feet are pretty ugly too, Steve. It's okay.
Here's the thing. Feet are all ugly. Feet are weird and gross and I don't like them. However, if you have a fetish, then more power to you. But yeah, ugh.
Sorry to our listener, Eddie Murphy and Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin T. No, that's too obvious.
Yeah, we just did this joke like 2 episodes ago.
I know. It's evergreen. So as Marge shows empathy towards Ned, he tells her something private and embarrassing. Every morning, he places a Post-it note on the mirror of the bathroom for Maud, saying affirming thoughts like, "You are terrific," with the letter R. Because he did it for her when she was alive. And he kept it up after her passing, and he went to the porno theater and jerked off, and hoping that somehow she might see it. Marge believes that Maud does see Ned's messages, though she's not completely sure how the whole ghost rules work.
Well, if she only watched Ghosts on CBS every Thursday, she would know.
That's right. Or if she, borrowed Sideshow Mel's BritBox subscription, she could watch the original Ghosts as well.
Well, Ned goes on to say that he's been texting his other dead wife, Edna Krabappel. Maud preferred, snail talk, but Ned and Edna would share funny thoughts and observations via text, such as squirrel alert, either alone or with his girlfriend, a single rainbow, or one of them wondering if ranch was too tangy, and the other agreeing that 1,000 Island %. It's dumb. He keeps texting Edna after her death, sending sweet observations such as
sweater weather,
corduroys too loud for church,
a fresh pack of Forever stamps,
doves build new nest,
this string cheese is extra stringy,
new haircut, chilly ears,
insurance commercial, so scary,
nothing beats a good orange,
new hand soap is a winner.
Do you sometimes feel that ranch dressing is too tangy?
Yeah, it's a little spicy for me. I know that this is supposed to be cheesy, just to illustrate what a dork Ned is. But one, I think it's incredibly sweet to text somebody the most benign things like that, and the fact that they had back and forth. And also, when Krabappel was alive, we saw that she was kind of rough around the edges, and they implied that she might have slept around and was kind of had a black heart and was kind of bitter. And so to find this sweetness between her and Ned, I find to be incredibly endearing. So I think this is all very sweet.
I feel like you do stupid shit like this with your wife.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
We will text each other if we're at a restaurant and there's a couple next door. There's either saying something dumb or in the next table over, saying something dumb or about to break up, or just one of them is clearly wrong for the other person. We will text each other back and forth. Yeah, we just text each other silly stuff like that.
I get that, but if I'm at a restaurant, a lot of times I'm not listening to the conversation we're having because I'm always eavesdropping at other conversations in the restaurant. Because I always my favorite thing is when it's a first date or some sort of date. You just tell. It's my favorite. I love to listen into those conversations and laugh because they're dumb. I said stupid shit on first dates too. I'm not saying that I'm better, but first dates suck. I think that's why we get married, and because we don't want to do that shit anymore.
Exactly. I love my wife, and I wouldn't want to be with anybody else. But yeah, if something happens between us, or God forbid she dies, I'm done because I can't go through that again.
I'll set you up on dates. It'll be a fun, wacky sitcom when your wife dies.
Oh boy,
Jesus,
man.
But first, after she dies, Steve, what are you gonna do?
Go to the porno theater and jerk off.
Yes,
as one does.
Happy holidays. Well, the previous night at Springfield Mall food court, Ned took a picture of his jizzed up Cinnabon. Look at all that jizz on that Cinnabon. Yum, 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 yum. Claiming that it was frowning at him. He then goes to enjoy the cinnamon roll when he receives a response on his phone, asking, "Who's this?" He apologetically replies that he was texting his wife's old phone number, and he was texting to make sure she got into heaven okay. So the mysterious person on the other end replies, "Ha!" Much like the iconic sound that Edna makes. So Ned feels with hope that maybe Edna is texting from the other side. But unfortunately, another ha is sent, and Ned, well, let's just play a clip. It's funny.
Oh, it's Nelson.
Ha ha! Your wife left you for dirt.
In that split second between ha's, I actually believed that it might have been Edna answering my text. I felt so stupid. Then this morning, I didn't put my Post-it on the mirror. I knew no one was going to see it. Tonight I asked myself the question I never before dared to ask. What if this is all there is?
Oh, man. Of course that's not all there is. There's daytime, and they're always dipping new things in chocolate. And you can mix anything with a poodle these days. Get some rest. Tomorrow you'll feel better.
Ned losing his faith, but the Nelson was very funny to me.
Yeah, your wife left you for dirt. It's such a cold line. I love it. And yeah, like, I know that we joke a lot about shipping various characters, like Martin and Nelson, but I think that this kind of proves our point as to why we do it, because I think that Marge and Ned, they are like similar souls in a way, and they both have this hopefulness that they can't afford to lose because that's what keeps them going. And so I think that Marge getting Ned to, like, trying to cheer him up with the things that you can dip chocolate in or the things that you can mix poodles with, I think that shows Marge's optimism and why after Homer dies, they'll make such a great couple.
And I, for one, can't wait till Homer dies so I can go to a theater and jerk off.
Of course. Special screening of the Simpsons movie.
Just announced Chris Nolan's next movie is going to be a Simpsons movie, Steve.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's titled Homer's Odyssey, so it's going to be about Homer and his shitty minivan from the 90s.
Nice. I can't wait to see it. I'm sure it'll make sense. And be a tight 90 minutes. Can't wait to see Leonardo DiCaprio as Homer Simpson.
And no representation from people of color in the movie.
Of course, yes. And you'll be like, that was a really good movie once, and then you'll never want to watch it again. Ned tries to follow Marge's advice, but he wakes up to his alarm clock and tugs at the Bless This Mess cross-stitch, leaving only the words, "This mess." He then opens his kitchen cabinet, and instead of enjoying his usual Blue Angel decaf, Ned opts for the Bitter Devil calf coffee. It's probably a dark roast. And while picking a mug for his cup of joe, he skips the "He is risen, and so am I" mug, as well as the one spreading the good gospel that there is coffee, with a cross on it, and instead opting for the handled cup that simply says mug. He then goes to his bathroom medicine cabinet and replaces his Bible and anointing oil with actual pharmaceutical items such as
Thoughts and Prayers surgical gauze,
actual pain relief,
Medicine sinus relief,
and Better Than Prayer aspirin. You know, the Thoughts and Prayers surgical gauze is what they use in schools all over the nation whenever there's a school shooting.
Oh boy, Steve, you know, we could make fun of Medicaid, but let's not go there, okay?
Yes. Children getting fucked. Fine. Children dying. Awful.
And let's not get started on health insurance CEOs getting murdered, Steve.
That's one step too far, yeah. He was the father of a daughter.
As Chris Rock put it so poignantly, sometimes drug dealers get killed.
That's true.
So Ned continues the removal of God from his house using Stain Away spray to wipe the stained glass window depicting Moses holding the 10 Commandments. Marge witnesses Ned's removal of the star from his rooftop nativity scene and pities him. So he asks Bart and Lisa to play with Rod and Todd. So Bart says hard pass, but Lisa obliges. Marge requests that if they see Ned, to caringly remind him that God is real and there's a plan to all of this. But to say it in fun, lighthearted way. So as Marge leaves, Bart shares his own doubts with his sister.
Lise, can I tell you something?
Sure.
I'm not feeling Christmas.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Usually when the weather starts to turn cold, I get a little jolt of excitement in my tummy that says, Christmas is coming! It hasn't happened this year. When everyone at school was dancing to that Charlie Brown song, I was faking it. Lise, what if I'm outgrowing Christmas?
Listen, you don't have to outgrow Christmas. It just changes. As you get older, instead of getting stuff, it's more about giving.
How? I don't have any money.
The little drummer boy didn't have money, so he played his drum for baby Jesus.
I bet that baby hated that.
No, Bart, the drummer boy's gift was the thing he did best. So do what you do best, but do it for other people.
But what I do best is fill tailpipes with potatoes.
Bart's saying that he thinks the baby Jesus probably hated the little drummer boy. It's a really funny joke because, you know, babies wouldn't want all that loud drumming.
And I like how Bart fills tailpipes with potatoes. That Axel Foley would be very proud of Bart.
Indeed. The Charlie Brown Christmas thing, I'm not saying that belongs in joke jail. In fact, I kind of liked it. But I think we're creeping up there. I think that referencing Charlie Brown as the Christmas media, I think we're getting a little tired of it. Or at least I am.
I actually watched it for the first time in years.
Oh, wow.
Just the other night, just to Because, again, it was references from this, and then I think the most recent SNL did a bit on it. So I watch it, and my takeaway from that Christmas special is y'all need to, lighten up on Charlie Brown. That kid is suicidal, and he's so fucking depressed.
Yeah, I don't know what his parents did to him, but yeah, everyone's so mean to him, and he's just a sad little man who's he's like a 43-year-old guy trapped in a boy's body. Which Matt Gaetz would like.
But the whole time I'm thinking, Charlie Brown reminds me of you.
Yeah. I wanted to, come back with the witty rejoinder, but no, I flabbed that too. Yeah, I'm also a sad, bald guy.
Who's got a way cooler dog.
Yeah. But I've got a cool shirt.
No, it's not that cool.
Okay.
Well, Bart continues to share his technique of stuffing spuds into tailpipes, saying that he'll usually use the russet, but he'll go with the Yukon Gold in a pinch. I'd like to imagine that. Oh, this is your. You say that.
Yeah, so I like to imagine that Marge inspired Bart's actions because he shares his sentiment that potatoes are just neat.
I like the Yukon Gold, and again, they're a little bit more pricey of the potatoes, but russets are just the best. They do everything right.
Yeah, it's your flex potato. I think that, fingerlings and Yukons and Reds, they have their purposes, but if you need a potato and you're not sure what to use, always go with the russet because it's going to do you right. It might not be the perfect solution to everything, but it's not going to hurt you in any way.
Look, Steve, I like a mashed and a fried, and those are the best for me. I know maybe people will say Yukon Golds, but no, I think russet's better for mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I like to do a potato medley in my mashed potatoes, but yeah, I think russet is good.
How dare you put a red in there?
Red's fine.
Actually, I don't put a red in. You could sneak a couple sweet potatoes in there, so for a little bit healthier, because I don't really like a sweet potato on its own. But go ahead, just hide a sweet potato.
I won't tell anybody.
All right, thank you. Lisa tells her brother that they can figure out the potatoes later, much like we should figure out potatoes. But in the meantime, they can assist in giving Rod and Todd a great Christmas. But Bart agrees, knowing that'll be weird.
That morning, Homer answers the doorbell to find Ralph returning the sleeve or French fry house from Krusty Burger that he used as an elf hat. And so Homer invites the young Wiggum lad in, telling him that being Santa was the greatest feeling that he's ever felt. He loved knowing exactly how to make everyone happy. He believed that he was magical, and therefore the feeling was magical. And Ralph still believes, which Homer appreciates, but also, Ralph has been working on the same 4-piece puzzle for a year now, until that baby came into his house and fixed it. Where did that baby come from?
Probably a vagina, Steve. So Homer may have enough faith in himself to be Santa for the entire world, but he does believe in himself enough to be the Santa of Springfield, or at least most of Springfield, and the people he knows. Ralph wonders if Homer has enough belief to magically make presents, and he feels that he believes he can magically supervise Ralph as he makes the presents. Ralph is in, saying, "You can't spell elf," and Homer realizes there isn't more to that, which is really funny. It's like, we've been kind of I feel like Ralph hasn't been that great for the past couple of years, but just that line I think can be up there in the Ralph top 10 quotes now. That was just really great. You can't spell elf.
Yeah, it's really good. Well, next door, Bart and Lisa join the Flanderses for a lunchtime PB&J, and Rod and Todd are shocked to learn that their father started eating without saying grace. They're concerned that he might die before he wakes, but Ned says that if there is a God, he's a big boy who can handle a little renunciation now and then. To break the tension, Lisa asks Rod and Todd if they're looking forward to any Christmas toys, but Rod says that they give the toys to the less fortunate rather than receive them. And instead they get Bible highlighters and sheet music to their favorite hymns, such as Fountain Full of Blood.
So when Ned tells his boys about the freewheeling Christmas they're about to have, well, they'll get toys rather than give them away, Todd happily says that they are the unfortunate ones now. So Rod chimes in, saying they don't have a God, and both boys meekly shout, "Yay!" After initially being apprehensive about the secular Christmas, the boys dive into the more capitalistic nature of the holidays.
That's the Christmas spirit.
We don't want to be possessed by the Christmas spirit.
Exorcists charge more at Christmas. I know. You guys should look through the toy catalog.
Oh, a noodle for the pool. I want that. You don't have a pool, but that's just the first page. There's more. Look.
A toy wallet with toy money and toy receipts. I want that.
I want that too.
No, I want to be the only one who has it. I rebuke you as my brother.
I'll Cain enable you in your sleep.
I'll cut out your heart with the jaw of an ass.
Wow, I love it.
Jalvin ass.
I love it when Rod and Todd get all crazy like that. It's fun.
You mean normal?
Yeah, when they act like kids.
Yeah.
Also, toy catalogs. I miss them. I wish that they were still like a thing. I know that people shop online and there's like 2-page flyers, but I miss those chunky like Sears catalogs that had like pages upon pages of stuff.
I still get, oddly enough, I get catalogs from Amazon.com sent a toy catalog to me.
Really? That's
for Christmas. Yeah.
Huh.
Really kind of funny. And I circled everything I wanted and I sent it to Santa in the North Pole, so hopefully I get it.
I think you will.
I've gone onto Reddit and people post like old toy catalogs from the 80s and 90s, and like there's just such like I remember this moment, and they're a lot of fun. Like especially like when the Sunday paper came with like the catalogs for the Christmas for like Toys R Us or KB Toys. It was always fun to just take that and then look at it the whole like Christmas year.
Yeah. Someday.
Someday I'll get that easy bake oven.
I still want one of those. It'd be great to put it by the bed.
Or, just get up and go to your kitchen, Steve. There's nothing in there.
So far away.
Or do you just want to put your head in the easy bake oven?
Mm-hmm. Kill myself 30 watts at a time. Derren Brown works with his editor when Marge walks in asking for help. He'd like Brown and his workers to use their magic to trick Ned into believing God once again. Derren admits that there are plenty of charlatans who would use tricks to get Ned back into the church, but he has spent his career exposing such tricks. He uses those tricks on stage for fame and for yachts. And so Derren claims that he can't help, but Marge is struck by how lost Ned appears, like Guy Fieri, without bold flavors. Marge asks for the phone number of the charlatans that Derren mentioned, but he simply hypnotizes her, causing her to wake up in the park bench with a copy of his book, Happy.
So with the pentatonics once again playing in the background, Ralph and Homer get to working building dollhouses to every last detail. Ralph sneaking a mouthful of paste here and there. Outside of Moe's, Homer connects 8 fake reindeer to his car and then steers from the roof of the car as Ralph uses his hands to control the gas and brake pedals. So they crash into the tavern, but that just results into laughter from both of them as well as Moe.
So back at the Flanders homestead, Ned invites his boys to build a snowman, but they decline as it would be a graven image. So they go back to their candy canes and toy catalogs when Ned points out this snowman happens to be in their backyard. And so, seeing that, Rod and Todd are frightened, but Ned assures them that it's probably just one of the neighborhood kids, before inviting them to start a new tradition.
Well, boys, we're skipping Christmas Eve at church, but we can start a whole new at-home tradition. I got pine cones and googly eyes. What should we do?
Secular TV?
Sure, I guess.
Two broken girls! I want to watch a show about the air fryer again.
We can watch them both.
Crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside.
The crunch of frying with half the calories.
Cleanup is a breeze.
Okay, boys, time to get ready for bed.
Can I get an at-home henna tattoo kit so I can do henna tattoos at home?
Daddy?
It moved.
No, it couldn't have.
Satan has come for us
because we coveted toys.
Watch out.
What is that?
You better not cry.
Yeah, at the end there with the Satan audio, it's very scary and creepy.
It's funny because we think of like the two holidays, Halloween and Christmas, being so far apart, unless we're talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas. But there's like some old Christmas songs that would talk about telling scary stories in Christmas time, and that's weird to me.
I mean, my favorite Christmas story, Christmas Carol, it's got 3 ghosts in it.
I guess that is pretty spooky.
I mean, technically 4, right?
Yeah, that's true. I guess Christmas can be scary.
As it should be, Steve. Like, especially if you don't get the toys you wanted, right?
Yeah, you can go on a killing spree, which is also scary. Speaking of scary, Ned, Rod, and Todd are all frightened by the snowman growing closer and closer to their window, as well as a demonic voice calling for them. Just then, the doorbell rings. They bravely answer the door only to find Marge, inviting them to play some Bible bingo. Marge wonders why their house is so dark, and Todd tells her that the spirit of Christmas is trying to possess them. Rod adds that this is Jesus' worst birthday ever when Marge sees a shadowy figure run up their stairs.
As she sees the silhouette of an elf dancing on the walls, she hears the demonic voice singing Jingle Bells. Marge looks behind a curtain to find Bart with a voice distortion keyboard. He claimed that he needed the headset for seminars, but really, he used it to be the Bart man, scaring his neighbors. Marge welcomes Ned and his sons next door for some eggnog, allowing her and Bart to return their home to normal.
So as they leave, Marge asks Bart about his actions. He tells her that he did it for her. Since Marge was bummed that Derren Brown wouldn't punk Ned into believing in God, Bart thought that he'd try. And Marge isn't sure why Bart would use fear to return Ned's faith, but Bart thinks that it wasn't really all that scary. Just then, a figure with a long black hair crawls out of the TV set in the style of a ring, or Ringo if you're original, or Ringo if you're a Beatles fan. It's Milhouse assisting Bart, asking him for a Go-Gurt break. And Bart agrees, as long as Milhouse doesn't take the berry flavor, which is probably the best flavor.
I thought Pamela Hayden was done with The Simpsons. How dare she come back for this?
This is the last one, I promise.
Good. Never want to hear her voice again. Marge is curious how Bart's spooky trick was supposed to make Ned believe in God again, and Bart explains that it would make Ned terrified of Satan. Marge doesn't think it's the same thing, but as Bart puts it, tomato, tomato. Marge is touched that her son heard her wishes, even if he did get everything wrong. So they hug until Bart feigns a pain in his gut. He then puts his hand under the shirt, making a puppet that says, "Christmas is coming." Mother and son go enjoy some eggnog. Do you think the eggnog is spiked, Steve?
Oh yeah, no problem. No doubt about it.
All right. So while Milhouse returns, wondering where everyone went, and he climbs back in the TV set, hoping this doesn't count as screen time. And that's a wrap for Milhouse, never to be seen again.
Goodbye. Take 5, everyone clap. 2 things about that. One, I think it would have been more effective if Bart would have said potato, potato instead of tomato, tomato, because he was talking about potatoes and he has that bond with his mother about potatoes being neat. 2, Marge wasn't in the room when he did the Christmas is coming puppet the first time. So when he did it in front of Marge, it probably just seemed a little weird because he was talking to Lisa when he said, "Christmas is coming," the first time. So I don't know. Just weird.
Maybe she knows about his little Christmas stomach puppet.
Maybe, yeah.
That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Alrighty. Well, Homer and Ralph began to spread their Yuletide cheer, Santa style, starting with the biggest chimney in town, Rainier Wolfcastle's. But Ralph sees that Rainier's gift is at the bottom of the sack, so Homer grabs a gift from the top, a popsicle stick-framed picture of Agnes Skinner, and Ralph agrees to give that gift, adding the sage advice, "Everything's easier when you don't try." Another great line from Ralph. Homer wholeheartedly agrees, telling him to put that quote on his tombstone.
So Homer goes to climb the fence, but a Star Trek-style alarm goes off. The klaxon, as I believe it's called. Homer runs toward his car to find Ralph behind the wheel. At first, he thinks that his elf is just warming up the vehicle, but Ralph speeds off, leaving him behind. So security guards point tasers at Homer, who offers them free pictures of Santa. No waiting. He is tased, and he is asked that the security officers add their names to the naughty list.
Oh no. Back at 742 Evergreen Terrace, Marge worries how Ned is doing. He replies that Christmas loses some of its magic when one stops believing in God. He then inquires about Lisa's change in faith.
Lisa, when you became a Buddhist, didn't you miss the miracles?
Buddhists believe in miracles. Let me tell you a story that was told by the Buddha himself. Suppose there existed an ocean the size of this world. On its surface floated an ox yoke.
A yoke? Like an egg yolk?
No, the thing they use to attach a plow to an ox.
Oh, I was imagining an ox laying an egg.
Well, don't. And at the bottom of this vast ocean, there lived a blind sea turtle who surfaced once every 100 years to take a breath. How miraculous would it be if that turtle were to take its breath by raising its head through the middle of that yoke? This is how miraculous it is that you were even born.
That's beautiful.
This life is a precious opportunity. Buddhists don't concern themselves with the afterlife because there is no existence except for that which is happening right now.
I love the Marge thinking yolk over yolk. And then the animation of an ox laying an egg was very funny and kind of dirty.
Yeah, it's a great bit of like animation. I love it when, as we've talked about before, like when they diverge from their usual type of animation to go for something different. And I thought this was basically very beautiful. But yeah, then you had all the jokes that Marge was misunderstanding about the yolk. And I thought that was really funny. Yeah, just kind of a really beautiful sentiment too. I think it was really nice.
Well, Steve, Marge is disappointed by Lisa's fable, saying that she likes an afterlife in her religion. And Lisa asks her mother not to yuck her spiritual yum. So as Marge brags about the mansion in the sky she'll eventually receive, Ned sneaks off.
Ooh, so at the police station, Homer wrecks his mug against jail cell bars, shouting, "Santa needs cocoa." When Eddie points out that Homer already got cocoa, Homer states that he needs marshmallows. Lou then threatens to mace Homer, and though he claims to be immune, he screams his pain as he's sprayed in the eyes. Lou is kind of disappointed, though, because he's out of the pepper spray, but Eddie suggests that there may be more in his stocking. So the two cops run off, leaving Homer alone to rue in the fact that he was arrested on Christmas Eve.
He was deserted by his elf, and he wasted his one phone call calling the radio station to request Jingle Bell Rock. And it was a rockin', as he recalled, but Homer tearfully thinks about the following morning when his kids awake, run into his bedroom at dawn, and he won't be there to tell them to shut the fuck up. So he cries out for Bart, Lisa, and even Maggie to give him another hour of sleep. Someone shouts, "Hi, Kris Kringle, it's Ralph," who is able to stick his head into the cell bars since his head is all soft spot.
Ralph then offers up the jinglies from Daddy's belt that are known as keys, which he uses to free Homer. Ralph tells Homer that the sleigh is right outside, but Homer has a new plan. He's going to be Santa, but just for his own family. And Ralph can still be a helpful elf, but only for the Wiggums. And so this causes Ralph to have a bit of a revelation.
So everything is back to the way it was before we were magic.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm different.
You are different, but you're cute, so that's gonna help.
No, I'm different because the time I spend it with you.
Oh, I'm different too.
My hat smells make me hungry.
Okay, new plan. We stop by Krusty Burger on the way home.
I want to go to the Krusty Burger on the way home.
Me too, and my hat smells also make me hungry.
Well, Ned walks the streets of Springfield as Patti LaBelle's rendition of Silent Night plays. He sees houseless folks gathered around a trash fire. A power line in the shape of a cross bursts into flames, and two cars, both with trees tied to the roof, crash into each other. Is this Christmas Eve, Steve?
I do believe it is.
A little late for those trees, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, you got to get those like way earlier in December.
December? Steve, we put ours up in January 2nd.
Early and earlier every year.
Yeah. I bet some people still like traditionally do like get a Christmas tree on Christmas Eve. It's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I don't know if this is weird, but I feel like the weekend after Thanksgiving is when we usually got our tree.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems like a long time to keep a tree, but yeah, Christmas Eve is weird. Like, because don't you just put it up and then take it down like the next day?
No, I think you keep it up till New Year's.
Yeah, but still, that's a week of tree. Like, I want like weeks of tree.
I tell you, you got to put it up like the day after Thanksgiving now.
Yeah, I guess so. Earlier and earlier.
Although, I mean, I did complain that people had their Christmas stuff up before Thanksgiving, like 2 weeks before. So there you go. It was fine during the pandemic, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so yeah, those two cars with trees, they crash into each other, and the drivers step out to argue, and Ned solemnly walks by as the scuffle turns physical. So Ned witnesses a pigeon pecking at the Christmas tree cookie, and a rat dragging a candy cane, and then sees the first church of Springfield as people enter to worship on the eve of Christ. Mass?
Yeah, I guess that would be called Mass. Ned arrives at the Springfield's Goodport, where he is nearly hit by a falling wrench. The owner of that wrench is one Professor Frink, who thinks that someone must be looking out for Ned. But Mr. Flanders has his doubts, explaining his crisis in faith. And so Ned starts to walk away, but before he does, Frink invites Ned to join him on his super sub for a quick drive with the pinging and the ear popping and the wonderful, we're floating in the world of water.
So as they dive into the deep, Ned sees the bioluminescent jellyfish and feels that it's almost like outer space. Frink explains that the scientific community actually is more knowledgeable about space than that of the deep blue sea, and they know even less about why you can't tickle yourself. Ned then asks the man of science about his own faith.
How do you deal with the emptiness that comes with knowing there is no God?
Well, sir, I know no such thing. Scientists must always keep an open mind, or at least one that is just a little bit ajar. For example, everything science knew told us that nothing could survive at this depth. But there are creatures that thrive here. They're very weird creatures.
So, do you believe in God?
I think that God is revealed in the orderly harmony of nature, yes. I don't think of him as a giant fellow with the floods and the harps, and the voice of Morgan Freeman, or occasionally that other guy from The Thing.
Yeah, I just wish he would, talk to me. Could that kind of God exist?
I have learned anything is possible. Look at the giant siphonophore. It acts like a single creature, but it is actually a 100-foot conga line of individual organisms. Unbelievable.
Just unbelievable, Steve.
It truly is. Do you think that
God?
Well, let's not talk about, God, I don't know. But first of all, I want to talk about sea crafts.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, I think it was last summertime is weird, when that one ship went down below to check out the Titanic and everybody died because they used like an Xbox controller to steer it?
Yeah, everybody remembers that, Steve.
Okay.
That was our most popular podcast on, or there was a podcast where The Simpsons made a reference about that, and everyone went to YouTube and listen to our podcast for some reason about it.
Oh, that's right, yeah. But do you think that this is also a reference to that, or is it just happened to be like them going down the deep blue sea?
100%.
Okay.
I knew the reference. Yeah, very timely.
Okay. And God, is he real?
Oh, God. Yeah, she's real, Steve.
Oh.
Yeah.
Touche.
All right, well, Ned is fascinated by the stark beauty of the deep and the entire world around him. So Frink points out how rare it is what they are witnessing. He says that more people have been to the moon than where they are now. Ned realizes just how deep they are and grows scared. He then becomes angry when he learns that it's Frink's first time down there. The professor may find it pleasant, but Ned shouts, "What the fuck?" But, they bleep fuck because it's Disney Plus, Steve. You can't fuck on Disney.
True.
But before demanding that they go back to the surface, Frink agrees, providing that Ned doesn't have any more fuck torpedoes.
That's what they call me. So just said, the pressure of them being so far underwater begins to take its toll as the sea craft begins to crack. So as a screw ricochets from around the ship, Ned wonders what should be done. Frink replies that they should pray and then head quickly to the surface. And then, after a moment, all is calm, all is quiet. They're above the crush zone, free from implosion.
I was hoping that it actually did kill them and disintegrate them like the people for the submersible Titanic. And then I wanted to end with like Ned actually dying and then being in heaven, seeing God, and then like Edna's there and Maud's there, and then they have like a threesome right away.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would go to the theater and jerk off thinking about it.
That great porno theater in the sky.
If Ned did die, who gets Rod and Todd? Do you think?
Oh.
I mean, it makes no sense that the Simpsons get them, but I think they would.
I mean, that would make the most sense, but yeah, maybe like maybe when they have the Flanders reunion, maybe that British guy who says oogly moogly, maybe he can do it.
I think the Simpsons should just take Rod and Todd.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good solution. The Flanders took the Simpsons for a little bit, so
right,
tit for tat.
Lisa can be roommates with Maggie, and then Maggie's room can be Rod and Todd's room.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or they have that rumpus room downstairs that they never use. Let's just make that Rod and Todd's. I know it's smaller, but
that'll be fine. Yeah.
All right, love it. All right, let's start the new tag. #KillNed.
#KillNed.
Yeah. Well, suddenly the ship explodes and Ned is floating in the water, and he swims up to the surface, and then Professor Frink comes up as well. Frink is confused about what Ned is floating on, especially since it's made of wood. Sorry, I was doing the
Mr. Woodchuck.
Mr. Woodchuck, yeah.
We have all these references to early Simpsons, and I think that Carolyn Omine threw a reference of her own in there.
Yeah, I think she appreciated that. So it's a plow yoke, just like from Lisa's story. It's a dang miracle. Ned believes again.
So the Simpsons watch on the dock as Ned arrives at the land, claiming that everything is a miracle. And Marge asks if he's okay, and Ned just happens to be more than fine.
You believe again?
I sure do.
Daddy! So you let Jesus back into your heart?
I sure did. I'm not going to hell. which exists again.
Yay! I want to give my toys to the less fortunate.
Well, I'm not sure the less fortunate want a toy hairbrush, but we'll see.
Hello.
Derren Brown?
British guy from earlier!
Wait, did you?
I may have manipulated Ned's reality this evening.
How?
He was never in a submarine tonight. He was in a floating breakaway set. Most of my crew are scuba diving puppeteers. We even brought in Patti LaBelle to set the mood.
It was all faked.
I could really go for a Patti LaBelle right now.
Tasty. Derren Brown adds that Frink was in on the ruse. The professor does this kind of stuff just from time to time to keep his SAG card active. Marge asks the mentalist what changed his mind. Derren Brown states that though he takes issue with organized religion, he appreciates a person's need for meaning in life. He just wanted Ned to see the magic of human existence rather than believe in the supernatural.
So Lisa says that yolk made of wood affair seems a little supernatural, but as Marge points out, Derren has no idea what Lisa's talking about. Rather than dive into it anymore, they move on. Homer presents Derren with a gift.
Speaking of which, because you're on the nice list, here's a little something for you.
Oh, thank you, Homer. What? The blue bow tie for my ventriloquist dummy Chaucer. It's just been missing for so long.
You're a ventriloquist?
I was. I know. I realize this is hard to believe, but before I got into magic, I was a nerd.
No!
How could you have known? Unless you're actually... Merry Christmas, Santa.
I thought the hairbow was for Maggie.
I mixed up the boxes. Oh, it's fine. Maggie's gonna love this Applebee's gift card.
I like when he was saying he mixed up the boxes, the side mouth. It almost sounded like old Homer.
It did, yeah.
All right, boy, I'm Homer Simpson. Time for frosty chocolate shakes.
And some cupcakes. Again, maybe a reference to early on Simpsons. But yeah, it did really sound like it. So Ned rehangs the Star of Bethlehem on his roof. Darren leaves cookies, chocolate chip with M&Ms, out for Santa, next to Chauncey. And Bart and Lisa look downstairs to witness Marge open her gift from Homer, a book of sexy Sudokus. And after a sly, loving look from Marge, Homer points to Maggie, who is fast asleep on Santa's little helper, her Applebee's gift card warmly in her hands. As Bart and Lisa watch, Marge and Homer kiss, and that's our episode.
Yeah, they do a nice little picture with the Merry Christmas from The Simpsons. And, why are Bart and Lisa giggling? Are they like, Mom and Dad are gonna fuck?
Probably. And also, what is a sexy Sudoku? Are all the numbers 6 and 9? Because it's going to be really easy otherwise.
Are you a horny Christmas fucker?
No. I'm more of a kinky Kwanzaa fan.
Okay. Christmas doesn't make you horny, baby.
No. I think that candy canes are a bit too phallic for my taste.
Right.
But I do like stockings, so who knows?
We did it, Steve.
Yes, we did it. Double episode. And fans, as you listen and think about how horny you are for Christmas, let's take a break and think about what we just saw. We'll be right back.
Ho, ho, ho.
Silent night, magical night, comforting stars, hopeful and bright. Loved ones, gather your troubles to ease. Someone to bless us whenever we sneeze. Sweet little earth, say goodnight. Ooh, from all of us, we're gonna say good.
And we're back. Let's finish up our discussion on Oh Come On You Faithful. We'll talk about the episode, what we liked in the episode, what we didn't like, what made us laugh, maybe a most valuable jokester, and what we're watching next week. But before we do all that, now is the time, more than ever, but there's never a bad time to give presents, but now is the time. And so, Craig, for this holiday season, I got you things from this episode that I thought you might appreciate. Of course, starting off with an Applebee's gift card, because I know how you do. And, you mentioned your love of cufflinks, so I got you a nice pair of cufflinks with the little pig on them. And then also, I got you some oatmeal cookies with the N&Ns, because I know your appreciation of oatmeal cookies and their goodness. So there you are.
Very thank you.
Of course. Yes.
Well, Steve, I guess I have to give you something too. And I did. I know you like to eat food, especially bagels.
Sure.
And you love everything, but sometimes everything isn't there. So I got you a jar of talc, neon, and laughter.
Nice.
And also, those live, laugh, love signs?
Mm-hmm.
I also had a sign made that says talc, neon, laughter. So you can put that on your wall.
Nice.
And I know you don't have any body art on your body, and you've always wanted to. So I got you at-home hentai kit, which I don't know where the tattoo comes in, but it's just this at-home hentai kit. A lot of tentacles on this box, so I guess you want tentacles on your body.
Sounds like fun to me.
And finally, a mug that says mug.
That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, Craig, what in this episode made you go, ha-ha?
Probably Ned at the mall when he's texting Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
That's rather funny to me, because it's also sad and depressing. But we kind of mentioned it on the podcast, but I think Ralph was in pretty good Ralph form. So I'm going to give him the MBJ for this episode. Because, it's like, you can't spell elf. And leaves it there. And the voice acting from Homer when he's depressed because he's a horrible gift giver and he just goes straight to, wanting to kill himself. I thought was delivered well. Marge and Ned, and great pairing. But maybe my favorite joke, of course, is Marge thinking egg yolk, and seeing the oxen lay an egg was pretty funny to me. So, those are some memorable moments from this 45-minute episode. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I really appreciated, as you mentioned in my gift, Ned wanting the everything bagel and then being disappointed that it didn't contain laughter.
You mean Burns?
Burns, yes, excuse me. Rod and Todd were in really good form. I like them kind of freaking out about, reciting the air fryer commercial and wanting the henna tattoo, or hentai tattoo, as you say. Homer was a lot of fun. Marge being kind of aloof to Lisa's beautiful story, very funny. The MVJ has to go to Ralph. So many fun lines. Just him playing off of Homer worked really well. And him talking about how he changed, and just everything that Ralph said. We usually don't highlight Ralph jokes because we think they're cheap, but I think he was kind of a brilliant idiot in this episode, and I think it worked really well. But Craig, do you think that this episode worked really well? What are your overall thoughts?
We've had a couple 2-part episodes, or episodes where you can have one whole, a 45-minute episode. There's, of course, The Great Gatsby, War and Priests, and I kind of feel like those episodes, we get kind of bored with the 45-minute episode. And I'm not saying I got bored with this one, but I think it was paced a lot better than the other ones. Because you kind of had your first story was more about the Homer being hypnotized thinking he's Santa. And then the second part of the story is Ned. But in reality, I feel like these episodes really are one complete episode. So I think this one worked out pretty well. With the Simpsons Christmas episodes that we talked about in the beginning, they are so either good or just I don't really care. When it comes to Halloween, yes, I want to do a rewatch of Treehouse of Horrors. But when it comes to Christmas time, usually I just watch a couple handfuls of Simpsons episodes because I really feel like the Christmas ones aren't as Christmassy as I want them to be. And this one does a good job because it's the test of faith. And I feel like we've seen in episodes with Flanders not believing in God. I swear we've seen this kind of episode. But the team ups, this almost felt like with Homer and Ralph and even Bart and Lisa and then Frink and Flanders and Flanders and Marge. There's something that's kind of cinematic about this episode that give you an extra 20 minutes. This could have been a movie. Why not the Simpsons movie be the second one be like a Christmas movie with a bigger budget. Like I could have seen like the Homer Santa like being like the major plot of this of like a movie. So I would say give me like 20 minutes more. Make this a 90-minute movie and bump up the budget. I think I'll put this one on the list to watch it again. Maybe not next year though. You know, maybe the year after, Steve.
Of course.
Okay. So I did enjoy it. I hope it becomes part of a rotation for people for Christmas. And I think Ralph is back in perfect Ralph form. Welcome home, Ralphie. If I had to give this a ranking, well, Steve, this episode hopefully drops on Christmas Day, this podcast. So hopefully people are listening to this on Christmas with their new podcast players that they got from Santa.
Sony Podman.
Yeah. So to keep the Christmas spirit up, here's some famous people that died on Christmas Day. We have James Brown, Charlie Chaplin, W.C. Fields, Eartha Kitt, Dean Martin, George Michael, Denver Pyle. They all died on Christmas, Steve, so Merry Christmas.
Wow. All the death makes me want to go to the theater.
Yep. So, didn't George Michael, who died on Christmas, didn't he jerk off in theaters?
I think it was a men's room, but, tomato, tomato.
But out of all those celebrities that I said, Charlie Chaplin is probably the top of that list, maybe. His iconic Hollywood name. This episode was the W.C. Fields of deaths because he was very much like Homer. If there was no W.C. Fields, there would be no Homers.
That's actually very true, yeah.
And to make things sexy, don't forget Eartha Kitt, very sexy Catwoman, and think of her death while you jerk off to her on Christmas Day because of her death. So, as I say, Dean Martin had a huge hog.
Cool. I really hope that the fans of this show decide, like, hey, now's the time to introduce my kids to this show.
It's Christmas. They wouldn't be talking about naughty things. That's for the rest of the year. They're probably just sitting drinking eggnog, the non-alcohol kind, and talking about toys and Christmas past. Nope, we're talking about Dean Martin's friends, Frank Sinatra's huge hog. Anyway, Steve, how about you?
Well, Craig, we've got a lot going on in this episode. First of all, like you said, we have a Christmas episode, and I feel like, as you mentioned, Simpsons Christmas episodes really either hit or they don't. We also have another two-parter, the, I guess, fourth now in the two-part series of Simpsons episodes. And then we have Derren Brown, who I had never heard of before this episode, and he plays a very significant role in the episode. And then you're playing with a lot of, like, tropes of Christmas episodes, like a loss of faith and Santa Claus and all that. And so the question is does this episode work? And I kind of feel like it really does. The length of the episode is not an issue at all. Like, we were wondering about it being on Disney Plus rather than Fox. And I think one thing that benefits from that is the fact that there's no, like, cutoff point. Like, it is just, like, one epic long episode. Like, it's even hard to, like, exactly pinpoint where the first episode begins and the second one stops. And I just think that speaks to how well this episode works as a 45-minute piece of media. And I think that the unusual pairings of all the characters work surprisingly well, and it's a lot of fun to see these pairings work in the way that they do, and, like, the fact that we haven't seen Ralph and Homer together, or Frank and Ned kind of going off one another, which is surprising because, Frank being a man of science and Ned being a man of God, like, it's classic. But I think that there's a lot of fun to be had in this episode. While I wouldn't have thought to put the British mentalist, who hasn't been relevant in recent years, in the episode, I think that they use him effectively, and I think that he has fun with it. Like, the scenes with the editor are a lot of fun, and he kind of pokes fun at himself in a good way. The references to previous episodes is really nice without being too heavy-handed. I think there's a lot of subtlety, like the way that Homer transitions to Santa Claus. All of the references from other episodes is really there without being in your face. I don't know if I will personally be going back to revisit it, but I do feel like it has a certain amount of a nostalgia that is hard to do in a brand new episode, and I think it covers it well. And I think the animation is well done, and it feels, in a weird way, like a season 4, season 5 episode which I think is really hard to do at this point in The Simpsons. So good on Carolyn, Omine, and the rest of the crew. I think this is a well-done episode. It made some choices that I don't fully understand, but I think that ultimately it works. And so if I had to give this a ranking, Ned and Frank were mesmerized by the siphonophore, which is a 100-foot conga line of organisms acting as one being. And so out of a 100-foot conga line, I'm going to give this, we'll say, an 85-foot conga line out of the 100. So yeah, I think this is a watch. I think it's a really intriguing episode that works better than I thought it would. I was skeptical at first, but much like Homer, I believe.
And I believe it's time we wrap it up, Steve.
As we do that, we're going to find out what we watch next week. And we don't need the wheel of random because we have another new episode. Craig, what do you think that episode is called?
Homer Simpson kills his health insurance CEO.
I would like to see that, and maybe in season 39 we'll get that.
Okay.
Well, Craig, the episode that we're watching is close to that. It's called The Man Who Flew Too Much. What do you think that one's about?
Homer finds out that he's not from Earth, and he's from the planet Krypton, and he becomes Superman, and Marge is mad because all he does is fly around and saves people. He ends up killing his arch nemesis, Mr. Burns, who is Lex Luthor. That's it.
That's incredible. I'm surprised they haven't done this yet. This makes perfect sense.
And it's not a Treehouse of Horror, Steve. It's actual canon.
Right, and like Santa's Little Helpers, Crypto, and...
Sure. Marge is Lana Lang, and Lisa's Lois Lane.
It's a little weird. Bart is Superboy.
No, he's Wonder Woman.
Okay. Then I guess like probably Patty or Selma can be Supergirl.
No, they are Ma and Pa Kent.
Okay.
Supergirl is going to be Dan Weber, the writer.
Okay. Well, Craig, that's not what happens because the man who flew too much. Here's what does happen. The new and improved Pin Pals travel to Capital City for their first ever state bowling championship.
Wow.
Didn't we have a Pin Pals reunion like a season ago?
You might be right, but I remember you talking about there's possibility of one Apu Nahasapita Pedalon returning this season, and could this be the episode?
Perhaps.
I'm very excited. They're probably just gonna say Apu quit, right?
Yeah. On the plane crash, he died.
Oh, jeez. Poor Apu. Well, Steve, I'm excited, just to show a little behind the scenes, Steve. Technically, that episode has already come out.
It's true.
But to let you know, I actually haven't watched it yet. So.
Oh, wow. Nor have I.
Yeah. But next week we will?
Yes, we will. And we hope that you watch as well. And we hope to hear from you. You can always contact us on the socials, like your Threads, your Instagram, or your YouTube at 138simpsons, or you can always email us at 138simpsons@gmail.com.
And leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast you listen to. 5 stars or the equivalent. You don't have to write a real review. You can just let us know if you still believe in God or Santa Claus.
That's right. And hey, it may be Christmas Day or after as you're listening to this, but it's never too late to get you the gift that you think that you deserve by going to tpublic.com/user/annoyedgruntboy and getting yourself some awesome 138 Annoyed Grunt Boy swag. So check that out. And thanks so much for listening.
Happy holidays.
Indeed. For this week, I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Steve.
And I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Craig.
And remember, everything's easier when you don't try.
Your wife left you for dirt.
They put Christmas decorations up earlier and earlier.
Hey, Homer, earlier and earlier, huh?